All right, there we go. So I invite all of you to go ahead and begin your sadhana in Shavasana. So go ahead and lie down on your back and adjust yourself until you feel like you're totally able to, the best of your ability in this moment, relax. All of you, I think, have done this before, and the basic technique is one of putting your attention to a particular location in the energy spine. And of course, we access the energy spine through the physical body. But so we have this technique of focusing our attention at one of the chakras and then squeezing and isolating and squeezing the muscles around that center. This is one of the things that I just, am always thrilled to really understand that the energy that is flowing through our physical body is divine. It is not like there is some separate divine energy that we have to locate. It's flowing through us constantly, including through the physical body. And for this reason, if you focus your attention and squeeze the muscles around a particular chakra, that you can activate or energize that particular center in a way that when you relax that tension, there is, as always, a release of energy. So if you are lying down, you could do it seated if you wanted to. The third part of that, by the way, is that with your voice, as you are focusing and tensing and releasing, so you have the focused attention part, you have the physical tension and release, and it's not on, off, on, off, on, off, it's on, release, and feel. But then there is also that part of it which is about using your voice like a hum to match the tone on the harmonium. So we begin at the root chakra, Muladhara, and so if you'll find the pelvic floor, and it includes the muscles of the anus as well, so you want to squeeze and release, putting your attention right in the center of the contracted muscles. Holding your attention there as you release, you may feel a burst or a rapid expansion of energy. As you release for the last time and relax, hold your attention at the point of the Muladhara chakra and just relax and feel. So your attention is still there, but you're just sensing rather than stimulating. So that was Muladhara chakra. Coming up about 1.5 inches requires that we disengage the pelvic floor and engage instead the muscles just above it in the region of the urogenital muscles. And so if you can squeeze, and the way I do it, it's as if I were urinating and going to stop midstream. That is a good way to get to those muscles without involving more than you need to. So focus there, about 1.5 inches above where we first started. coming to the third chakra, so there it's like Uddiyana Bandha, which we'll, by the way, do as part of our routine. But go ahead and come up to the navel center, and again, just isolating that center to the best of your ability. Engage Uddiyana Bandha, so you're pulling the belly button, squeeze into the backbone, and release. Squeeze and release. Squeeze, and again you can use your voice. And as you release, vibrate that center with your voice. Now the heart center is behind the physical organ of the heart, but in front of the physical spine. But don't go offset just because your physical heart is. Go right center, behind the breastbone, behind the heart. So you're deep in your thorax. You can squeeze your shoulder blades together to emphasize that spot. Squeeze and release. There's the Anahat chakra. That's Anahat refers to that which is unstruck. It doesn't need to be like a bell. It doesn't need to be struck in order for it to chime. It chimes of its own accord. Now coming to your throat center, you can tense the throat, and you'll feel this depression right there above the suprasternal notch. If you went right in, you'd find the voice box. I can feel my voice box vibrating as I speak. So go ahead and put your finger there and squeeze and release. You can remove the finger. That's chakra number 5. Now chakra number 6 we break into 2 parts, almost treating it like 2 chakras. The negative pole of the medulla is where this ego is centered. So you can tense the back of the neck and lift the chin up a little, and you'll feel it right there, and you can touch it if you like with your fingertip. But then as you relax, feel this vibration. Tense and relax. Now to the positive pole of the spiritual eye, squeezing and release, squeeze and release. Now if you squeeze and hold the squeeze, begin to chant and then relax, you'll get a real burst of energy there. We'll go through that system one more time, starting at the base and working our way up, and this time you just doing it and I'll just play and chant as we go. I'll name the chakra, of course. So root chakra. Swadhisthana chakra, number 2. chakra number 3. Anahat, number 4, the heart center. Vishuddha, the throat center. Medulla. Learning to locate and send energy to these chakras is an important skill in the realm of pranayama. So let's go back down. Spiritual eye, medulla, throat, spiritual eye right now. I encourage you to go ahead and make your way up to a seating position. A great technique for working with willpower and bringing it up to the point where it's usable. So willpower just doesn't happen down here. It is rather that the energy of this chakra center, the navel center, is abundant and moving freely upward. And so when we engage it, we do it with Uddiyana Bandha oftentimes. You might go ahead and practicing Navi Kriya. You can lower your chin to this notch at the top of the sternum. It will automatically engage this and give you a sort of a clear pathway to energizing the navel center. And so, if you will pull the navel center back and hold it in place, the breath is not held, the breath is continuing. Chin is to the chest. We focus our attention simultaneously to the navel center and the point between the eyebrows. And we'll take 25 rounds of chanting Om. You can do it aloud in your own space. Om, 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 Om. 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 Now bring the chin up and the gaze to the spiritual eye. So you're opening the throat now, letting this energy rise, and to the spiritual eye. Om, 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 Om. Now lower your chin back down to neutral. That could be repeated many times. You can also do 100 times at the navel center if you're counting on your own, 25 times at the spiritual eye. But this is Navi Kriya. Kriya refers to the movement of energy through the use of willpower primarily, but sometimes through the use of physical force. Here we're also using vibrating sound. In this moment, because we're going to be focusing and working through the chakras in our routine, it would be a good idea for you to perhaps revisit those centers on your own, just squeezing pelvic floor, urogenital muscles, navel center, heart, throat, medulla, spiritual eye. And so what ends up happening is that we end up with a, think of a thread of light. You're running a needle of your awareness through the center of each of these chakras and connecting them with this thread of light, going in and up to the medulla and then forward to the point between the eyebrows. Yogananda made it very clear that the human nervous system is a truly precious thing to have, because it's through this nervous system that we are able, when we are ready to do so, to achieve self-realization by the practice of certain yoga techniques. There may be other techniques in other traditions, but it is important to know that within my teaching and my context, it's always Kriya Yoga. Because that is the way in which we were able to take hold and pull ourselves up by our spiritual bootstraps, as it were. So let us go ahead at this point, and as we sit here in Siddhasana, I encourage you just to, as you breathe, travel inward and upward. So we do this all the time. This is a normal practice for us. I've been challenged recently because of all the external events that are going on. You know, the world feels very, very chaotic right now. Nothing seems steady or certain. And so we have to find those things that are steady and certain, that are dependable, that we can count on. So if I wake up in the middle of the night, as I've shared with you before, I will oftentimes use a simple mantra as I inhale Om. As I retain the breath briefly, Christ. As I exhale, Guru. Now, another version of it, if Om, Christ, Guru does not work for you, Om, Peace, Amen. So anyway, we break the breath up into these three parts as we sit in Siddhasana. We have a lot going for us right now. We have our posture, we've centered ourselves, we have energy, awareness around the chakras. And now we can begin to bring in this supreme spiritual gift that we have of the well-developed nervous system, putting our attention to the most highly developed part of that nervous system, the point between the eyebrows, that is to say, the prefrontal lobes of the brain. And there you can affirm, I set ablaze the fire of inner joy. I set ablaze the fire of inner joy. I just love that as a way to begin sadhana. I set ablaze the fire of inner joy. I love it because there's not only words to it, but there's the intention behind the words. So this routine is one, again, that is one that works us through yoga postures progressively from the lower centers to the upper centers. I don't think there's any yoga posture that isolates only one chakra at a time, but you can certainly emphasize them. So by warming up as we did in the beginning, you will already have a sense of the location of those chakras. So when I point them out to you at the beginning of our physical practice, you'll know where to put your attention in the posture. So let us go ahead and come up to standing. And so having your feet parallel to one another. I watched my grandson in Taekwondo the other night. I took him there, and it was interesting the small ways in which Taekwondo crosses over with yoga. It's very much about discipline. It's about energy. Of course, they have routines that they go through that are then tested to determine which belt someone gets. But it was very interesting that this matter of the position of the feet was emphasized a lot And we do that in yoga as well. So have your feet parallel, spread your toes wide. Have your weight pressing down to the balls of the feet. Push your tailbone down. Feel free to put a smile on your face. And as you stand and breathe, you may find it energizing in a positive way to bring energy from the earth through your feet, through your legs, and so on, all the way up to the crown of your head. You might even want to continue all the way up to the sky above you. You're just getting the sense that you are a part of something greater, and that the intersection of you and this greatness is this pathway of the energy spine. One of the ways in which Kriya Yoga is so powerful is because when we're practicing Kriya Yoga and we go in and up the left side, down and out the right side of the energy spine, we are essentially, and we're using the Kriya technique, it is the equivalent of a year. Every breath becomes 1 year. So we get to really speed up time. We're able to fast forward. You can do that right now. And I stand ready with my heart wide open to receive your divine guidance in my life. Now keep the legs spring-like. And even, by the way, Tadasana is a first chakra pose. It is definitely a first chakra pose. But it's first chakra in the sense that we begin there and bring that grounded, stable energy inward and upward. Hands to the heart. We'll just do a little bit of warming up here. Double breath in, double breath out, double breath in, double breath out. Tense. Release. Tense. Release. Durga pranayama, so keep feet can stay right where they are. Inhale up. All of you know this, so I think it's safe to say that you can care for yourself. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. You can try different ranges of motion with your arms. You can keep them close to your body going up and down, or you could swing your, spread your arms wide like wings and have them float you down. Be patient with your body. Give it a chance just to go ahead and on its own time rather than on your schedule, let it begin to open, both lengthening the front of the body here and lengthening the back of the body in the forward bend. Good. Let's go ahead and come up one more time. Exhale, arms down, and pause here in Tadasana. You know, I hope, even though we're only doing sadhana together 2 weeks, I hope, first of all, that you have your own practice other days, at least once a day, and better twice if you can. And I also hope that you were able to find purpose and meaning, practical value in some of the things that we do together. And so for me, it's that way, that I find a lot of practical application of things like being in the moment when I'm in the world, standing in line, for example. Good, let's go ahead, and we're coming into Utkatasana. This is first chakra, no doubt about it. And so if you will, I'm trying to read my writing without my glasses. Oh, tree pose, that's what's next. All right, so 2 first chakra poses. Chair pose, and we'll inhale, arms up, retain the breath, come into the pose. Keep your knees, don't splay them out, don't bring them together. Keep them in line with your ankles and hips. But definitely most of the weight is on the balls of the feet. So you'll get a pretty good stretch of the calf muscles. But every time you inhale, feel you're pulling energy from the legs and the pelvic floor inward and upward. In particular, of course, you'll want to bring it into the heart and then send it outward. So your body is pliable, your body is flexible, your body is not full of tension, but it is full of energy. This energy is fluid, it can be negotiated and focused by your mind, by your attention, by your willpower. My body is no burden, it is light as air. My body is no burden, it is light as air. And you can concentrate this first chakra energy by coming into a deep full squat. So if you want to, you could come down. Palms upturned. Try not to slouch and round the spine, but rather lift through the heart, relax your shoulders down. I have in the background of my mind going, my body is no burden, it is light as air. My body is no burden, it is light as air. Then on an inhale and breath, we'll sweep arms up, coming up. Exhale, arms down, and feet side by side. As you come back into Tadasana, I encourage you to stay in that central pathway, but put most of your attention to the point between the eyebrows. If you wonder, well, how can I do two things at one time? It's not uncommon for us to do this. And we can certainly keep the navel center, for example, and the spiritual eye. You can be aware of both of those at one time. You can hold your physical gaze to the point between the eyebrows while you are using the breath and your mind to sweep energy upward. My body is no burden, it is light as air. Now, putting weight on, so we're coming into tree pose. So this is another place where the feet and the orientation of the feet is important. You want your left foot to be going straight forward, left front to back, and your right foot going more or less perpendicular to it. So the left leg is bearing weight. I could pick the right foot off the floor completely. I will say that it was important to me when I was younger. I don't know why, but it seemed more important to me to balance with a greater level of challenge. I find it a lot more helpful, and I find the pose very deep by keeping the feet in this orientation. Right foot is just there for a little bit of stability. So go ahead and inhale, arms up, bring palms together. You can cross thumbs over and keep fingertips touching one another as you soften the elbows away from the ears. Such a fundamental, simple pose, very much first chakra. And so here we emphasize the first chakra by using one leg rather than two. So make sure that you don't sling yourself into the hip, but lift out of the hip socket. You want a clear pathway for energy to follow inward and upward. I'm calm, I am poised. I am calm, I am poised. I'm calm, I am poised. Inhaling, going up, turn palms away, exhale down, feet side by side. And this is a time to return to that general practice, say general because we'll do it over and over again, of coming back, drawing the energy inward and upward through the same pathway we began with, but always with the focal point being to bring it up to the point between the eyebrows. You know, just awakening the energy in a center and letting it go and stay there doesn't really have a whole lot of value. The value comes when we expand the energy in an individual chakra and then bring it upward into like a river of energy. Shift weight to the right foot, bring the left heel into position. Lift off the right hip. Inhale, arms up. And come into Vrikasana, tree pose. Now, it's challenging, but maybe in a good way, to close your eyes. And if that is too unsteady for you, you can open your eyes, but just like halfway. If you ever look at a picture of Lahiri Mahashaya, that main picture that we have of him shows his eyes more closed than open, gazing at the horizon of superconsciousness. I'm calm, I am poised. Good. Inhale up. Exhale, arms down. Tadasana. By working with the chakras in the way that we've done, I'm experiencing a greater flow of energy internally, and I oftentimes experience it with a sense of, as I come back to my center, I notice the area of my brain, and it feels like it's expanding, or there's light. So it's not about just the chakra, it's about bringing the energy upward. Okay, let's get into this chakra number 2. Now you'll see, of course, there's still chakra 1 involved, but whenever we do a forward bend, a standing forward bend, we're going to go ahead and we will invoke this second chakra. When we're folding or bending from the hip sockets, if you go straight inward, you're going to come right to the pubic bone, and that's second chakra. So if we come into Tadasana, inhale up, exhale down. Let's pause with our spine straight. Reinforce the navel center for stability. And if it's going to be okay for you, go ahead and surrender into the full pose. Surrender is a good word here. We're letting gravity work for us. And the affirmation, I relax, or nothing on earth can hold me. Nothing on earth can hold me. Nothing on earth can hold me. Now you may find as you hold the pose a little bit longer that if you are patient with your body, it will begin to give you more and more room. The muscles lengthening on the back of the body. Nothing on earth can hold me. Now to exit the pose, we're going to exhale and bend our knees, turn palms up, inhale and rise. Keep your eyes open for the sake of stability. Bring the arms up. Turn the palms away and sweep them around you. Bring hands to your side. We oftentimes, at least you will have heard it if not used it, the idea that I am creating good space, I'm holding space. And much of what we do in entering and exiting a pose is about the space around us. It's always within us, but there's also space around us. So for example, if you lift your hands up, feel that you're lifting light up with your hands. So the light is going to come all around you. And so it becomes like some pictures of angels where they have big circles of light around them, or pictures of saints. Now, from that standing forward bend, we're going to counter it with a standing backward bend. Standing backward bend will emphasize the hips. They're going to be moving forward, but it will also open the chakras above. So come to the end of your mat, step your left foot back. We're coming into warrior one. So you're going to be on the ball of the left foot. Let's lunge through the right knee, press the left heel down, tuck your tailbone under, sweep arms up, and relax shoulders down. I attune my will to the source of all power. And borrowing from the standing backward bend, I am free. I think that's a better affirmation for this pose today, I am free. Because that is true freedom when the energy that flows through us is being directed in an inward, upward, and expansive way. Nothing on earth can hold me. I am free. Good, let's inhale, front knee straight, exhale, arms down. Step forward and bring feet side by side once again. I just realized I had my hands apart. It just felt right to do that, so I'm going to stick with it. So let's go ahead and come back to Tadasana and sort of check in through the affirmations. Nothing on earth can hold me. I am free. I stand ready to obey thy least command. So this means that instead of practicing our sadhana just with one another or just on our own, that we are actively bringing Divine Mother into the practice through our awareness. Shifting weight to the left foot, we'll step the right foot back, and here we are, warrior one, but using the affirmation for standing backward bend, Muktasana. So here we are in warrior one, sweeping arms up. This time we can bring palms together, point index fingers up. There's a little bit more power in this pose when we do this, I feel. I'm free, I am free, I am free. When I attune my will to the source of all power, I am free. When I know that nothing on earth can hold me, I am free. And what am I free to do? Well, we answer that with Tadasana. Let's go ahead and hang out here just another few breaths. I am free, I am free, I am free. So inhale, front knee straight. Exhale, arms down. Stepping forward. Once your feet are aligned, close your eyes, return to the pathway. Nothing on earth can hold me. I am free. I stand ready to obey thy least command. There is a case to be made when you eliminate all things that are permanent from those things that are not. One is left with those relatively few things that are permanent. Well, in fact, only one reality. And it is that reality that we name in different ways, but for me, Divine Mother tends to be the fallback. So Divine Mother, nothing on earth can hold me. I am free. I stand ready to obey thy least command. Okay, we're going to go ahead at this point. We're going to make our way down and in onto the floor. So we're going to come into Vajrasana. And you'll see that as soon as you come down here, you have squeezed the legs, engaged the first chakra and the second, You fold it from the hips, so you have the energy of chakra 1 and chakra 2 moving very much into the third center and those above it as well. So palms upturned. And can you begin your inward and upward movement at the navel center now? So we're focusing on chakra number 3. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. Now we're going to come into Cobra. And Bhujangasana, or Cobra pose, is a highly negotiable pose. But we're going to focus here. This is very much what's going to be pressing into the earth, the hips and belly button pressing down. So let's come onto our belly. Point our toes away. Press your thighs and hips into the floor so that when you lift your torso up, it is really pressing into the navel center, and your heart is receiving that energy dynamically. You remember in our last class, I think all of you were there, that I was focused on the idea of are you happy? Am I happy? And I will say that when energy is moving upward through the chakras, one of the words that we might use to describe that experience, I feel happy. We might say, I feel uplifted. There are some conditions in yoga, some places that we can attain where it has a feeling almost of being high. That is to say, expanded, but with awareness. So I rise joyfully to meet each new opportunity. Use your arms dynamically. Push the elbows down, pull the arms back, lifting the heart and lengthening the spine. I almost feel like this is a prayer. I rise joyfully to meet each new opportunity. Holding Cobra for a little bit longer requires that we really check back in with the hips, pubic bone, making sure that they are actively engaged, pushing into the earth. Then the heart, then the navel center can be lightly touching the floor, but also capable of expanding upward. I rise joyfully to meet each new opportunity. Of course, I didn't say it, but I'm using a modified version of Cobra. If all of you are feeling inclined to, you could stay here for another few breaths. But you're also welcome to engage the core, pressing the hips into the floor even more actively and pulling your hands back. If you have lower back issues, by the way, this is a great practice. Really squeezing the lower back muscles tight. Remember, this is about chakra number 3. And chakra number 3 is as much in the back of the body as the front. I rise joyfully to meet each new opportunity. Good. Let's go ahead and exhale, pushing up onto our hands and knees. Coming back into Vajrasana as a way of checking in. So can you find that pathway? Can you feel the energy moving upward as you inhale? Perhaps you feel, as I mentioned last time, the coolness of the energy as it rises. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. We're coming into Ustrasana, camel pose. So here we're moving into chakra number 4. So we've got 2 poses for chakra number 4. The first one is going to be Ustrasana. So you come up. I like this with my toes turned under. You can do it with your toes going the other way. Placing the hands on either side of the pelvic rim. Pressing the hips actively forward, including the navel center. Because then we're going to lift and open the heart. So lift the heart up, bring shoulder blades together, open the throat as well. So this is thrusting the heart center, or making it front and center. With calm faith, I open to thy light. With calm faith, I open to thy light. Calm faith, I open to thy light. I just realized that I was not breathing as deeply as I want to, and so the thought led me to begin to breathe more deeply and diaphragmatically. And when I do that, I can then begin to feel a bigger, a greater expansion in the heart center. With calm faith, I open to thy light. We'll come back to Vajrasana. And this is just about recentering. Now, not every time that we come back to our center do we need to give individual identity to each of the chakras. We can rather begin to treat it as a system or as that tube of light. And so what I'm finding is that the practice of staying centered is becoming a little more relaxed, a little more steady. Less willpower and simply observing what is. So I hope some of that is happening for you as well. So chakra number 4 is where we are, and we're going to access it with a seated twist. So if you'll find your pillow, and bring your right heel to your left sit bone, so your right leg is parallel to the long edge of your mat, if you're sitting long ways like I am, and then cross that left foot over. So think about what's going to happen here, that we're going to really twist from the hips and navel center, and the heart is going to be opened dynamically to our left. So a couple ways that you can do this. You can plant the hand behind you. You could bring the left arm behind the waist. That actually works quite well. But lift the spine along, rotate into the twist, I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. So there's that heart center actively engaged in a positive way. It's by its nature, the heart center is expansive. its elemental quality is air. And the only thing that we want to make sure of is that when our heart is expanding with positive qualities. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. Inhaling back to center, we'll come to Dandasana, straightening legs out in front of us. If you preferred, you could come into a cross-legged position. Dandasana is good practice, and I say that because it helps to build the muscles on either side of the spine so that you can hold your body up without support. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. Of course, we're going to move to the other side now. So bringing the left heel to the right sit bone. Left leg is parallel to the edge of your mat. Right foot is flat all the way to the floor. Right arm behind you. And exhale into your twist. When you breathe in the twist, focus in the heart center. It's already open in a physical sense. Energy is wanting to expand, but let's give it a sense of purpose. So the expanding center of the heart can be given purpose through asana and affirmation. The asana here, Ardha Matsyendrasana. The affirmation, I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. You may notice tendency to collapse in the lower back. Instead, lengthen out of the lower back. And on an inhale breath, we'll come back to center. Send legs out. And here we are, returning immediately to the pathway of the energy spine. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. That, by the way, is a wonderful spiritual practice to work. It's one of those things you can pull out and use for the entire day or an entire week. I radiate love and goodwill to soul friends everywhere. We don't need to be in the spinal twist in order to practice that. So we're going to come into chakra number 4 and 5. And what that means that we're going to come into a little inversion with down dog. So here we are, tabletop position, cat-cow. Can't go wrong with cat-cow. Coming to neutral, we can go ahead and extend our legs out into plank pose. And I just look back at my feet to see that they were in line, parallel to one another. And on exhalation, I'm going to guide my hips straight up to the ceiling. So use your hands and feet to apply the pressure. Hands pushing forward and down, feet pushing down, but I'm on the balls of the feet. Really get the sit bones as high as you can get them. Your head will come between your biceps. And then we can alternately press left heel to the floor. Inhale up. Right heel to the floor. Inhale up. Take your time as you alternate between left and right heel. Now, if you need a break, let's go ahead and come down briefly onto the knees. I'm going to do that again, and we'll do the full pose. So here we are back in Vajrasana, right big toe over left, hands in the mudra. Here we have the whole system from chakra number 3, the navel, all the way up. The lower 2 chakras, they're pushed together, energy pushed up. It is this energy flowing through the core of us and our essence that is the source of our true power. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. So we're going to come into down dog, Adho Mukha Shavasana, one more time. This time we'll do the complete pose. So finding the right position for your hands, fingers spread wide apart, middle finger moving forward, toes turned under. And this time we'll push the hips up as we did before. Bring the head between the upper arms. And then press both heels in the direction of the floor. This is a pose that is, in the end, not a lot of effort. But getting into that pose, there are times when effort is helpful. For example, I'm going to push as hard as I can into my arms and hands, getting my hips as high as I can get them to go. And then I'm going to press my heels towards the floor as hard as I can. But now it's about stop trying, stop striving, stop working, and instead, once you've found a stable pose, relax into it. Calmness radiates from every fiber of my being. We're going to inhale heels up and exhale knees down. And I encourage you to turn so that you have the long edges of your mat available to you. So in Vajrasana, we regroup, find the pathway that we've been working with throughout our sadhana. And at this point, I hope you're beginning to feel something from our asana practice. But understand that the asana practice is just one part. And it's also about you, your willpower. That really gets closer to who you are. Your body is not very close to who you are. It's temporary, like putting on a suit of clothes. And you would not wear the same clothes every day forever. You would change your clothes. And so that's what happens when we get a new body, a new incarnation. And so again, we're going to work with these upper chakras, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and so on. And we're going to do it in gate pose, parigasana. So this is where we come up onto our knees, extend our right leg out. So the left leg is bearing weight. Once again, we have this alignment going on. Left leg going straight forward, right leg going straight out, 90-degree angle. I just really tuck my tailbone under, not to a point of distraction. I pulled my navel back, all for lower spine stability. Then inhaling, left arm up to the left ear. So your left palm is going to be facing to your right. And you'll begin to get this nice stretch. This is gate pose. It's called parigasana. Can you find that pathway and breathe through it as you're in this pose? All chakras are available, but the energy very much comes up to the region of the heart and up to the throat some as well. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. One of you commented to me about the qualities, those two qualities of happiness and joy. And I completely understand that some of these terms are elusive. There are a lot of times when I have learned about those 8 aspects of God, I have to look back over years, or certainly months and weeks, and realize that at certain times and certain events, if I go deep within what I'm experiencing, I oftentimes have moments of being at peace or experiencing a sense of joy. Outside events are not going to give us joy or peace, but they will stimulate it within us. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. Inhale the left arm up, exhale down, Vajrasana. I set ablaze the fire of inner joy. In stillness I touch my inner strength. You know, in physics, there is a working definition of the word work. I'm doing work. And work is always involving a force, a push or a pull. And so you can see that within our yoga practice, you can view things in that term. I'm doing work by pushing or pulling. However, the work that we end up doing is far less physical than that. But many of the principles still apply. That I'm working on myself. I'm pushing or pulling my consciousness in a particular direction in order to accomplish work. Work on myself means applying force to my consciousness. So that I inhale up, extending the left leg out. Okay. So here, inhaling, here we are applying physical force. That left hand, by the way, can be used a little bit, don't overdo it, but pushing back just a little will stabilize the pose with the heart more open. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. Waves of joy surge upward in my spine. Good. We're going to inhale the right arm up, exhale down, and you'll want to have your blankets or a pillow nearby. We're coming into Gomukhasana after we come back to our center here in Vajrasana. So Vajrasana right now. And I want to say that while we are actively engaging ourselves, our willpower, our focused awareness, our attention, using our bodies, being aware of our breath, we're doing all these things. But that real strength is an inner strength. And that inner strength arises from our highest self. Not the physical body, not the personality or mind that you have, but rather from that permanent part of who you are. One could say, in stillness, I touch my permanent self, capital S. So Gomukhasana. By the way, not everybody uses a pillow or a blanket. Some people have enough range of motion in their hips, they don't need it. But for me, I begin kneeling, pillow right behind me, and coming up onto my hands and knees, but my knees are together. Let's straighten out the left leg behind us. You know, I'm sorry, I should have mentioned, you'll want to have your strap nearby. So we're going to go ahead. And by the way, if this is not doable for your body, you could simply sit in a cross-legged position. First, we're going to extend the left leg back, cross behind the right, walk your feet forward while keeping the knees together, and come right back and onto your seat. So your knees are touching ideally. Sometimes they pop apart, it's okay. But here we are in the bottom half of Gomukhasana. I'm trying to remember the affirmation for Gomukhasana. I may have to look that one up, but we'll come up with something. So here we are, right leg crossed over left, knees as close together as you can. You can, if you have room, walk that left foot that's back here forward a little bit. My mat's very sticky, so it doesn't feel good to do that. Then take your strap, and if your right leg is on top, put the strap over your left shoulder. Bring the right leg or right hand behind and find that strap. The left hand goes over the top. And we're getting our hands together as close together as we can. In the beginning, you might want to collapse forward just to go ahead and get your hands as close as you can. But then the body or torso becomes like a bow. The strap behind you or the fingers behind you connected become like the string of a bow. So you can feel a whole lot of power in your heart. Free in my heart, I live without fear. That's the affirmation. Free in my heart, I live without fear. Free in my heart, I live without fear. Now, for the sake of balance, I like to add this movement to this pose, which is to let the strap down, bring the left arm up and the right arm under, sort of like we do in Garudasana. If you do have your hands together like this, you might try lifting the elbows up, straightening the arms out a little bit. Still, the heart center in particular, but this time to the back of the body. Free in my heart, I live without fear. Let's release. Take a moment here just to sit. And if this is comfortable for you, it's another alternative for a seated pose. We are going to switch. Coming here. We'll take the right leg behind the left. So of course we've just switched things over, so now it's the left leg on top. Strap over the right shoulder. Left arm behind. We're going to pull that strap up, then reach down to get our hands as close as we can. And now comes the stringing of the bow. We inhale up. There we go. So really putting your attention in the heart. Affirm, free in my heart, I live without fear. Free in my heart, I live without fear. Free in my heart, I live without fear. And let's reverse the arm so you can exhale, release the arms from behind you. Bring the right arm up and the left arm under. Breathe into the back side of the heart. Feel like as you exhale, your shoulder blades are just relaxing further and further away from one another. Free in my heart, I live without fear. Exhaling. And again, you might find it comfortable just to pause here for a moment. And in this moment, of course, the first chakra is taken out, second chakra pretty much taken out. So we're working again with chakra number 3 and up. So we're about ready to make our way down and to the floor and onto our back. So as you come down, make sure your heels are in alignment with your sit bones. Let's just do a little bit of pelvic tilting. And then go ahead as you're ready to and straighten the legs out. I just move my shoulder blades around a little bit so when I put them down, they don't feel like they're stretched apart or squeezed together. So here we are back very much where we began. You're in Shavasana. Let's double breath in and tense the whole body. Double breath out and release. Tense and release. Tense and release. Now, as you remain in Shavasana, with a little less physicality, so don't tense and release quite so much. Let's go ahead and work our way up and down through the chakras a couple times, but we'll do it a little more gently. We're smoothing things out at this point. You all remember the locations, and you can tense a little, release completely, but don't try to squeeze until you totally vibrate. So go ahead and put your attention to the pelvic floor. Moving up about 1.5 inches. To the navel center. To the heart center. Throat. Down and back up one more time. Udala. Throat. Heart. Navel. Urogenital. And pelvic floor. Heart. Feel for that moment within you when it's time to transition. Probably best to roll to your side, one arm extended beneath the floor or beneath your head, so your spine stays in alignment. and pushing your way up to your seat. So let's just sort of polish things off.